Welcome to Pink Kink,
where we are ready to guide you through the wild and wonderful world of kink.
I'm Princess Rara.
And I'm Dara, the Electro Khaleesi.
Whether you are a baby kinkster, a seasoned pro, or just here for the entertainment, Pink Kink will help you level up your kink knowledge.
Join us as we share our own wild, sometimes awkward, but always entertaining experiences and spill the tea from our combined 30 plus years in the private and professional kink worlds.
So grab your favorite flogger or wand.
Thank you.
And buckle up. You'll learn, you'll laugh, and who knows, you might just spit out your coffee.
Let's get this kinky party started.
Want more Pink Kink in your life? Join our Patreon and get ready for a whole lot of kinky fun and exclusive perks.
As a patron, you'll unlock access to our private Discord server where you can connect with fellow kinksters and chat directly with us. You'll also score adorable pink kink stickers and enjoy a monthly behind-the-scenes podcast packed with juicy tidbits we don't share anywhere else. Plus, get sweet discounts at our Etsy shop, Pink Kink Boutique, and on our online classes at Pink Kink Institute.
But wait, there's more.
More?
Our impactful and electrifying Pink Kinksters get extras, such as bonus content and free digital downloads. Oh, and let's not forget, the Pink Standard of patrons will be recognized as producers on both the podcast and on our website, because we couldn't do this without you.
Pink Kink runs on the love and support of our amazing patrons, so join the party today. Visit us at patreon.com/pinkkinkpodcast or click on the link on pinkkinkpodcast.com.
Today's episode is produced by our electrifying Pink Kinksters. Thank you, Jay, Witcherman, Brianna Lynn, Daddy J, Claire, Naughty and Nice, Butte Pain, Manda Panda, Kat, Stefan, Shadow Phoenix, Christopher, Brian, Enchanted Sparrow, The Wombat, Impact Hazard, Twitch, The Midnight Girl, Sinful, J21, Daisy If You Do, AK Harley Chick, Serenity, Belle, Eric, Pumpkin Pie, S'more, Hacksaw, Devoted Knight, 3 a.m. Thoughts, Crash Override.
Spiper No Spifing. Barbie, Navigator Bard, Mr. Pillsbury, Peaches, Mighty Owl, Baby Squirrel, Lady in Lex, Chaos Monster, Jessa Lady, Jack, Ophelia, Lady to Kitten, Cydia Lemon, Ben, Noir, Freddie Queen, Princess Ree, Mississive, Elysium Rose, Avalia, Nora Morapora, Brix, Mistress Lycia, Wonder Chris, Chessie, Manders, and Swinging Amish.
30 minutes later.
30 or 13?
30.
30, yes.
It's been 30.
Well, for them, it's been a week.
Right, but we talked in the last episode about maybe you'd be able to laugh in 30 minutes.
Oh, Spider?
Spider.
So,
I need to know, can you laugh now?
ha 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 ha.
Is that no?
Correct.
It's just a little itty bitty spider.
It was not little itty bitty.
The itsy bitsy
No,
spider.
that song.
Why?
Because of Spider. I don't like spooters.
Could be worse. It could be the great big hairy spider.
Yeah, I actually have a trauma-related story about that. Thank you very much for bringing it up.
I have a trauma-related... Well, I'm way over it because, first of all, it was in the 80s. So, I've almost forgotten it. But I had a wolf spider in my apartment when I went to Arizona State University. I had a wolf spider, which looks like a brown tarantula. That's what they look like. And they're not tiny. And I had no bug spray in my apartment. But the good news is, again, it was the 80s. So what I did have in my apartment was a can of Aquanet hairspray.
I was going to say Aqua Tofana, but that's not it.
And I used it to direct. I kept spraying and it kept running away from it. And I opened up my front door and I used it to direct it out the front door. And it made it over the door frame, and I shut the door. And by the time I opened it, I don't know if it was actually dead or it was just so full of Aquanet hairspray it could no longer move.
That was probably it, because that thing's sticky.
Listen, who knew? I should have written Aquanet and said, hey, guess what, guys? Add to your advertising. Not just that your hair will not move, but neither will the wolf spider.
So speaking of wolf spiders, I have two stories. One, very, very long time ago in a land
far away.
Far where I was asleep. It was 2 cycles of cicadas ago. So 17 plus whatever the fuck it's been.
And I was asleep and it was really fucking hot. And so I left my window open. And it was one of those old school windows, yes, from the fucking 80s or whatever it was, that you have like the screen, but you have to like crank it closed and you have to smack the latch thing. So 2:30 in the morning, I got woken up because it was a little too cold at that point. And I was like, all right, fine. So I stood up on the back of my bed.
How cold was it?
Titty bit nipply. So I sit up on the back of my bed and I start cranking the window closed and I smack the latch and I feel this flick against my fingers underneath the screen.
Ooh, this can't be good.
And I went, oh, fuck, there's a cicada trapped in between the screen and my window. And now I have to like get it off of there or else I'm never going to sleep because it's going to make noise all night. So I was like, shit. So I open the curtain, I turn on the lamp and I look, and it took me a full 30 seconds of standing there to know that this was not a cicada. This thing was so big.
How big was it?
Its legs open, it was literally the size of my hand. So the body was a solid...
I need to go back from it. Its legs were open?
Yeah.
You noticed this?
Well, it was splayed out, so yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I did that on purpose. So I couldn't tell you how big the body was because all I could see was this spider with his legs sticking out there were the size of my hand. And I flipped backwards off the bed, took my lamp with me, and ran screaming into Mommy and Daddy's room that there was a spider and that it was trying to chew its way through the metal screen and eat me. My mom, my long-suffering mother who understood all of this, goes to my dad. She goes, will you please go kill the spider so we can get some sleep? Because she thought it was what Rara thinks is a tiny-ass motherfucking spider, and it's this dangling thing that was trying to bite our faces. And my dad, long-suffering dad who understands my phobias, gets up, goes to my bedroom, looks at the spider on the window and goes, holy shit! And you could hear this across the house. My dad, my big Italian beast of a dad, goes and gets my mother's cleaning gloves, her latex cleaning gloves, a garbage can, a trash bag, a plastic Ziploc bag, a paper towel, and a pin. Mm-hmm. Stabs the spider through the glass or through the screen, pins it in place, and starts stabbing it. He says that its legs were going in and out and going crazy, and he finally kills it. Takes the screen down, puts it in a paper towel, puts that in the Ziploc bag, puts the Ziploc bag in a plastic bag, puts that in the trash bag, puts the trash bag in the trash can, and wheels the trash can out to the yard, to the front of the driveway. And I was like, Jesus Christ, did you think it was going to come back to haunt you? He goes, the size of that thing? Yes. My mother looks at me and goes, I am so sorry I didn't believe you. So there, validation.
Second, that reminds me of the time that I was in Boston and I was moving out of the house and I opened up the closet door to empty the closet in the spare bedroom and my foot touched something furry, thinking, oh, that must be my cat. My cat must be in the closet. And then you know how like obviously you go, oh, that must be the cat. Wait a minute. The door was closed. How could my cat have gotten into that closet?
But it's a cat, so it could have.
That can't possibly be my cat. And I look, and it was a dead rat in my closet. So I did what any good Jewish American princess does, and I called my father, who was 3,000 miles away, and went, Daddy, help me. What do I do? Like the man can help me from Arizona. So I put on the yellow kitchen gloves. I double bagged garbage bags. I went and got both the snow shovel, because it's Boston, and the ice picker. And I used the ice picker to drag the dead rat onto the snow shovel, dumped it into the bag, the double bag, closed the double bag, held it out from arm's length as if that was going to make a difference. Because first of all, my arms are short, so I don't know what I thought was going to happen.
Your arms are about 2 feet long.
And made it all the way down and threw it out in the garbage can. And then I took a shower so I could wash my feet.
So this is a universal experience.
Apparently so.
Do you want to hear my version of your aqua
tofu? Aquanet. I know it's before your time. You barely had any hair when Aquanet was the thing.
I did have a lot of hair for a baby, though.
I was
hoping on this side.
I was hoping your mommy was not using Aquanet on a baby.
No, but I only had hair on this side. I was bald on this side. I'll show you baby pictures at one point. It was actually pretty funny. So anyway, I was in Ohio in school. And and my ground floor apartment at one point, literally 3 wolf spiders. So I parkoured out of my apartment.
Parkour! I have to, I'm sorry.
Climbing all the furniture, I literally jumped off my couch through the door and I got to my car and I went to Walmart and I bought a bottle of wine and 3 cans of spider spray and that was it. And the cashier looks at me like, this is the weirdest thing I've ever seen, combination I've ever seen anybody buy. And I said, look, I got spiders to kill and I am not going to be sober doing it. I think I used 1 can of spray for each spider.
Well, yeah, worth it, right?
Yeah. So then I took all the leftover spray and I put it around the outside of my apartment. Like I just bordered it. Anyway, that's our shtick.
The spiders, sorry.
Trigger warning, spiders.
I think you're supposed to give the trigger warning before the discussion, not after.
Do you want me to make a little clip that says trigger warning, spiders?
You might need to.
I might actually do that. Okay.
Mention trigger warning that needs spiders. Well, I feel like I might need a trigger warning on this because I am going to admit that I used to think the wrong thing.
Oh, no. What? You?
Right?
Admitting you were wrong?
Well,
I'm going to faint.
I know. Don't bonk your head on the way down. So
I won't. There's no more spider anymore. I'm not actually
you're
going
safe.
to faint.
Okay, good. So in our last episode, we talked about our reflections and our growth in the kink community. And one of our questions was, how has community changed for you since you've been a kinkster? And being the fact that I have always been a part of the community, I have always been involved with in-person kink groups, be it play parties or dungeons, I had little to no experience of kinking at home. And I have to admit that for the longest time, I really was a snob about it.
Yeah, you were.
Okay. And we did an episode on the importance of community, and I did have somebody call me out for it. Now, as is often the case, the way they did it made me get defensive because you can call somebody out for the wrong thing in a hey, listen, can we just talk about this way? I had somebody do that just the other day from our patron server. They reached out to me to say something I had said was not correct, but they did it in a way you could tell they weren't coming at it from a you bitch, you're wrong place, but a hey, I know you always talk about the fact that you're still learning new terms and things to do. Well, because we had referred to somebody as cisgendered. Mm-hmm. But the correct terminology for this person would have been AFAB, because the pronouns that they were using was she, they. So the minute they added the they, then they're not really cis.
Yeah.
And so we should refer to that as AFAB.
Okay, I did not know that.
Right? Well, and neither did I. And I so appreciated being taught that. I thanked them. And I said, listen, if I do or say anything wrong again like that, I'm giving you blanket permission. You don't have to ask to reach out to me. Just reach out to me and tell me.
Like, hey, you fucked up again. Just letting you know.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'm sorry. I'm old. Cis was a new term for me, let alone AFAB and AMAB.
Also, the memory is going, so.
Do you know how long it took me to even know what AFAB stood for? I kept seeing somebody actually refer to themselves as AMAB, and I'm like, AMAB? Is that like
you didn't realize
Abraham or something? Like, I didn't understand what it meant. And Google isn't always the best at giving you the correct answer. So anyway, I since when we first did that episode on community, it's not so much that I've changed my mind about the importance of community, because I still believe community is really critical. It's more that since then, more and different ways of being in community have evolved. I mean, right? Like that was pre-COVID. Discord servers
that used to
for
be
kink were not a thing. Maybe they were for gamers, because I think that's where Discord started with gamers. But I'm not a gamer, folks, so I didn't know. We have, and TikTok wasn't a thing. Or if it was a tiny thing. Nobody was talking about it. So all these new ways of being in community have since opened up, which has opened up my eyes to this idea that you don't have to go out to the dungeon or out to Munches to still be just as valid as anybody else. And so, well, I'm not going to totally revisit the whole subject of community, because I think if I had to go back and redo every episode that I've learned and grow, and my opinion is slightly different.
Another 5 years,
right? At some point, that is the goal. I am going to go back and pick a couple of episodes that I would really like to sit with Dara and redo. Things like I would like to redo the aftercare one and talk about it, because I feel like there's things I want to talk about now, and discussions that I've had with people that I think would be very fascinating. And negotiations, I feel like we could do the negotiations episode better and do all that. But I do want to kind of talk about the fact that what I call being invisible doesn't mean invalid, right? And by invisible, I mean nobody else is seeing your kink. Nobody else is seeing your dynamic. And I really want to talk about the fact that many, many, many kinksters, and I was surprised by this, don't ever attend any public event. And that's okay. I mean, really. So when I first started, the people that I was being exposed to kink by were very much about community and going to events.
Public community
And going to events. Well, this is how when we referred to community back then, this is what we meant, right? We never considered some of these other things as being community because they didn't really exist at the time.
So let me ask you, would my WoW server that I was a group of doing BDSM stuff through them, would that be considered community or non-community back then? This was pre-COVID.
I would look at that now and say that's community. I don't know if the thing to me, and we'll go into this, the things that to me are what make a community, I don't know if those were happening in your WoW.
Okay,
so
we'll go through
as
that.
we go along, you can tell me, right? So my early exposure to kink was people who went to munches, who went to parties, who went to the dungeon. And there was very much this culture of you gather with other kinksters and do your kink. And so there was a strong emphasis on vetting and in-person engagement and talking to others and being able to watch what others are doing. So there was this kind of subtle, maybe not so subtle, messaging that was happening. Real kinksters show up. Real kinksters go to events. You can't trust people who you haven't actually met in person or have been vetted or you've got to watch play. And so it left me with this mindset that people who were kinking only at home, in the privacy of their own home with their partner, were missing out on something. And we were not equal. And while I wasn't saying out loud, hey, I'm better than you, we're not equals, it probably was outwardly expressed enough that people could see that. As I said, I got grief for that one episode. It caused quite the accidental kerfuffle in another Discord server I was in with people who, I don't know, they felt, my point in the community is important in that episode wasn't to say, hey, you're not valid if you're not part of community. It was to emphasize in my view why I felt community
is important.
Is important and would benefit you, right? And I still wasn't looking at, and as I said, this was probably at the time that was probably in a Kik server because I don't think we had Discord yet.
At the time of the episode?
At the time of the episode.
No, we had Discord.
Okay. All right. So then this was in a Discord server that I was in. I still wasn't of the mindset that the Discord server was a community. So it wasn't so much that I thought that people weren't valid because I was starting to meet a lot more people who were only kinking at home.
Let me just point out really quick, timeline wise, if we had the show, we had a Discord.
Gotcha. Thank you. That helps. That really does. So, right. So what really started to challenge that belief and that assumption was starting to be involved in other types of communities that were not in-person communities. It was meeting people through TikTok and messaging back and forth, that some of them I then went on to meet in person. Right, Vixen?
I was just thinking that. I was like, that's got to be Vixen.
Joining different servers that were more than just local folks to me, right? Like our initial Discord servers were our DMV folks.
Yeah, because they were the only ones that knew us.
Right? And we were local to them. And so when we were in the Discord server, we were like, okay, so we're going to Crucible this day, or going to Baltimore Playhouse, who in the group's going? Or my munches this week, who's going to be there?
I think our very first people, that you can actually hear it, because you know how you put them in order of when they joined? You can hear the first people that joined because they're always the first ones listed in the producers. Those were all our original Kik people.
So we started the podcast in 2022, right?
And that was already Discord. Because
and that was
First Pink Kink Discord was the one we have currently.
But we started in February of 2022. Mm-hmm. Our Discord server for Pink Kink would have started in March of 2022 when we started the Patreon.
Okay, yes.
Because before that, it was just our DMV
Yes.
Discord group. So the Pink Kink Discord group started in March of 2024 when we started our Patreon. And talking to the people who were now starting to come from more than just the DMV and having a relationship with these people where we shared what was going in our life and we asked questions and got advice really gave that whole community feeling. And hearing their messages and having them attend classes and having private conversations and hearing valid, meaningful discussions from people who never left their houses to kink. They never went to the dungeon. Either they wanted to keep it private or they didn't have easy access to this stuff.
Yeah, because to us, it's really weird that a dungeon is not less than an hour's drive away.
Like, I don't want to drive to Baltimore Playhouse because it's going to take me an hour to get there.
And then we have people driving 2.5 hours each way to get to a munch.
Yeah. That's how, spoiled and blessed we are.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, an hour to drive to the dungeon? That's far.
Well, and to me, it's an hour and a half. My limit is an hour. Like, and being from this area, that's a weird thing to say because we drive 6-7 hours to get to the beach around here.
Listen, I laugh because I can come home from the dungeon at 2 a.m. and the amount of cars that are still on the road at 2 a.m. I'm like, where the fuck have you people all been? You couldn't have all been at the dungeon.
Baltimore Playhouse. And they're coming back from that.
And so I kind of had this epiphany and realized that I was unintentionally gatekeeping with this attitude. And obviously that's not something I would ever want to do, but I have to kind of confess, if you think I was doing that, I can't really argue with you. So I thought maybe it was time to do an entire episode and talk about how being, for lack of a better word, like invisible doesn't mean invalid.
I do appreciate the word isn't alliteration, but we're just going to go with it.
Okay.
It's actually assonance, but we're going to go with alliteration.
I'm sorry, it's assonance?
Assonance. We don't say assonance.
Okay, it sounded like you said assonance.
It technically
and I
is
thought
assonance, but I don't pronounce it like that for a reason.
That's a new word. I don't know that word.
You don't know that one?
I
It's
do not
alliteration, but with vowels.
Huh. And you thought we weren't an educational podcast. So let's kind of go over this myth of visibility equals validity.
Oh my God, the alliteration. I love it.
I'm trying. So
excited.
So some of the things like I know that I used to hear and probably, to be honest, said was things like, if you're not at the dungeon, you're not learning. And I know I've said that because I'm like, to me, being one of the advantages and why the community was so important is going to the dungeon. I see things that I would never otherwise see. And they're things that I look at and go, I would like to try that. I would like to learn how to do that.
Next year for a birthday party, we're going to do something that I don't think I've ever seen in public before. Looting.
Exactly. So you come to that, you're going to learn a lot.
Oh my God, I'm so excited. I really
got to wait a year. I'm so sorry. But, right, that's really how I looked at it. Like, one of the benefits of coming is you can see the good, you see the bad, so you can see what you don't want to do. And I know, especially when it comes to sharps, and I don't know if it's the same for you with electro.
Is that the ugly?
No.
Oh.
I get to see a lot of things in sharps that I never even imagined or thought about doing. And looking at that going, I never had that. That's a new idea. It's creative and I want to try that. Do you find that with electro when you see other electro tops?
Yeah. I remember seeing something. I couldn't tell you what it was at this precise moment. Okay, well, you know what? We're going to skip that story. It was at Winterfire. It's fine. When Cards busted out the electro twister, people lost their fucking minds. And when you came up with electro operation and then I did the tinsel, all of those things I had never seen before. So now it's become like a game. All the electro tops and rah-rah around here try to come up with...
Because the minute I hear something electro, right, I'm like, I got to tell Dara.
If you can make it electro, like if you can think of it, we'll probably experiment with it. So we have to... There's like 6 of us. 6 people who do electro in the area that are like our main people. And we try to come up with the most out there wild shit that we can possibly think of for electro, and we're just like, oh, that's different, nobody's ever done that before, let's do that. And then somebody the other day messaged me and said, hey, I don't know if you've ever seen these, and then shows me Mylar pom-poms. I was like, oh, honey, that's so cute.
Been doing it for a while now.
Have you seen tinsel? Have you seen blankets?
Yeah, so it's right. And then being able to see all this really has expanded my skill set. And so I was like, oh, those poor people who only kink at home never get that opportunity. Or this idea that somehow you're safer in a public setting. Now, I will confess, I'm not sure that I've changed my mind on this particular issue. I still think you are safer playing in public than at home. Do bad things happen in public? Of course they fucking do, right? Bad things happen anywhere there are bad people, and there are bad people everywhere. But I like the safety of being in a dungeon where there's a dungeon monitor and there's other people around who see what's happening. So if something bad is happening, there are people who see it, who can get involved and stop it.
And not just the dungeon monitors either, the demo tops, the people who are standing around with the demo tops. Case in point, the first time Scarlett ever visited, there was a guy that was moving his hand in a particular direction that was not where I told him to put it, and I blocked it, and I'm not the only one that went after this guy. It was our friend Sam was standing there and was like, yeah, no, that's not right. That's not right. So, like, it's all of us. It's not just DMs, is my point.
Yeah. It's having all those extra eyes, you know, and I was also of the belief, and I absolutely understand that kink can be just bedroom kink. I'm not saying that it can't be. That was never an issue that I had. But I always believed if you only ever did it in your bedroom and you never like came out and did scenes at the dungeon, right, that you're limited. It was very limiting, and it was mostly around sex, and there's so much more to kink than just sex. And so that was sort of what I was seeing and hearing and thinking. And honestly, I was surrounded by people who weren't challenging me on that thought because they were all there with me.
They're all
in the
at
dungeon, right? The importance of the munch, where you can go and talk to other kinksters and sit down and not just learn from them, but we talk about the Whisper Network, and you can warn me, don't play with this person, or that person's fine, or don't go to this party, or this party's great and safe. And the importance of having that network of other kinksters who could help keep me safe and help me vet others. But the problem with that kind of thinking is it really ended up creating this two-tiered hierarchical system where you've got the quote-unquote real kinksters versus the ones who are hobbyists. And what's been interesting is that I still see a lot of that, and not so much as far as those who are involved in community versus those who aren't, but I still see it a huge amount with people who are bedroom only versus people who kink outside the bedroom. I've seen too many people talk about, oh, so you're only kinking when you're in the bedroom, but once you walk out the doors of the bedroom, you're equals and you're no longer dom sub, whatever. Oh, that's so cute. This is just a hobby for you. And I think that's harmful, right? It erases valid kink expressions that are happening in private. It is discouraging newcomers who can't immediately access public spaces. It is sending a message of, I'm better than you. And the consequences of that kind of mindset is that you might have shame and doubt in those who are playing at home only. People might be pushing themselves into spaces before they're ready because they're worried if they don't go to the dungeon or they don't attend the munch, they're not real or valid. And it might cause people to have this internalized judgment. I guess I'm not really kinky. I'm just playing or pretending. And I still run into people who still have a lot of these thoughts. And so I want you to kind of ask yourself, have you ever made somebody feel less than because they wanted to stay private and only do stuff not at home? Like, Dar, do you ever think that you've inadvertently done that?
Oh, probably. Yeah. I mean, I've said stuff on the podcast that people are like, hey, your opinion is wrong. I'm like, okay, but it's still my opinion. But that's the thing. We've been doing this for 4 years now. Opinions,
what I think today is not what I thought when we started.
Right. Opinions evolve. Hell, our personalities have changed in the last 4 years. We've grown. We've learned. Part of the most awesome thing about this podcast is we teach, but we also learn a lot.
Yeah, and what's been amazing is because of the podcast, I've now been exposed to so many different types of kinksters and different ways of kinking versus what my inner circle is kinking exactly the same way I kink. They're doing what I'm doing. They're going to the munches. They're going to the events. They're having the same experiences that I am. So being able to be exposed to all these different ways really is what helped inspire this episode.
So instead of being in an echo chamber, instead of being with people only who, it's kind of, I hate to bring this up again, but it's kind of politicsy. You know, it's where you only hang out with the people who are in your same politics, so you don't hear other people's valid points. And not that I want to hear other people's valid points when it comes to politics, but when it comes to kink, yeah, of course.
I actually just ran into this. I had asked a question in our Discord server about aftercare specifically. Aftercare is such a
That was a big discussion.
Aftercare is something that I feel I'm forever arguing with people on. And I asked the question, if I say to my bottom when the scene is over, are you okay? And do nothing more than that, have I just done aftercare? And I got different responses. A lot of people did think that qualified as aftercare. I asked the same question in another group where we're all kink educators. And they were more in line with me that to us is not aftercare. That's basic fucking human decency. And my response was, how low is the bar? That just asking your bottom, are you okay, before you send them off on their merry way.
I mean, I've done in a demo, I'm like, all right, you good? You good to go? I've let them sit there for a couple minutes while they get their bearings because they clearly can't get up off my table. Is that aftercare? I don't know.
Yeah. See, to me, not so much. So anyway, somebody from our server reached out to me privately and asked me why I asked that question. Had somebody been giving me grief? Because if you've been following us long enough, you know I've gotten into multiple kerfuffles about this subject of aftercare, including one particular person that I did like an hour live on TikTok with, who tried to argue with me about it. Like 95% of the people in the live chat were on my side, not his. So this person was like, you're getting to kerfuffle again with folks. Why are you asking? And my answer to them was because I've learned, and this is one of the ways that I definitely have grown. I like to check my opinions sometimes and make sure that there's a difference between that's my opinion and there's multiple ways of doing things and this is what I think about versus I'm just wrong.
And what'd you figure out?
No, I didn't. I still don't think that I'm wrong in this. I think this is one of those where there's no set definition for aftercare. And if you ask 10 kinksters, you're going to get 10 different ideas on what aftercare is. But they appreciated the fact that I was checking myself to make sure I wasn't wrong. And I wouldn't have done that when we first started this podcast. I would have just said, I'm right.
I'm not arguing. I'm just explaining why I'm right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I still feel that way, but that's different.
But you're checking yourself before you're wrecking yourself.
There you go. So this is one of those things where like kind of now I've checked myself, and I wouldn't say that I've totally changed my opinion as much as I've expanded my definition of what community is. So I still think community is important and there's benefits to it. I've expanded the definition of community and recognized that there's other benefits too in these various and assorted communities. So visibility doesn't equal authenticity. There are plenty of unethical, toxic players who are highly visible, Voldemort.
Not to mention half the people on TikTok.
Right? Or even in communities. Like if you are on FetLife and you peruse it long enough, you will come across people who are consent violators. And some of them are the most visible people there are. I just taught last week a class on navigating your reputation in BDSM. And one of the interesting and sad and frustrating things that came up is people were talking about what do you do when it's the community leaders who are the problematic people?
Wasn't that an actual thing? Can I say the state?
Yeah.
Florida. Yeah.
So here are highly visible people who, I don't know, go to munches, go to dungeons, maybe even own a dungeon. And look how problematic and toxic they are. So, yeah. So let's go over some of the different reasons why a kinkster might choose to stay more private. First is safety and privacy. Maybe there's work. There's a reason you guys on social media haven't seen Dara's face.
When you do, it's wigged and masked.
Maybe you're involved in a custody dispute. I had a friend go through a divorce, and she and her husband were polyamorous, and that was agreed upon. And yet when they divorced, tried to use it against her because she had found somebody else and was in a different relationship. And there are still states where you can mention fault for a reason for divorcing.
Well, they're trying to take away no fault period throughout the entire country.
Yeah, I don't think they can. States' rights. You can't choose what rights states can and cannot be in charge of. Right? There's might be a fear of outing, fear of losing your job, or social backlash, right? You're worried. I have run into people who we have vanilla connections. I don't know if, I'll share a funny story. I may have shared it here in Publix. My boss's aunt came to visit for a while.
Oh, yeah.
Lovely woman. We talked, we chatted, we hit it off over a love of romance. And I sent her I texted her, exchanged phone numbers, and I texted her a whole list of romances for her to check out. Well, probably a month or so later, I got a text from her saying, so hey, do you have a TikTok account called Kink Podcast? Is that you? And I went, oh shit. And what was really funny, it's really funny because it has a happy ending. But apparently, she and a friend of hers had been discussing what to do when they die with their sex toys because they didn't want their kids
I forgot about
finding their sex toys. And I had just done a TikTok episode about Dara being my emergency contact who will take care of all of my dungeon equipment and sex toys and everything else.
Does your son know that this is my job, not his?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, and he is so grateful for it. I can't begin to tell you.
Good.
Right? And so her friend had come across my TikTok and thought that was funny that here they had just had that discussion and now I've got this TikTok about it and sent the TikTok to the aunt who looked at it and went, my God, that's Rara.
Well, so similar, not me, obviously, because I'm not on TikTok. I'm not on anything. So my friend has a second job as a dance teacher, and her dance mom crew this was last year. They never actually went through with it. I'm still kind of like hoping, but dance mom crew once said that they wanted to do something wild and different, and they were checking out things in DC that were like off the wall bonkers, something none of them had ever done. And they really wanted to go out as a group and do this thing that was like completely wild. They found the Crucible and they were like, oh my God, look, it's a BDSM club. Oh my God, we should totally go. And my friend goes, oh yeah, I've been there. And they look, it was one of those comical every head turns at the same time with the exact same expression kind of situations. And she goes, they were like, you've been there? And she's like, yeah, a couple times. It's really fun. And that started that whole thing. I still haven't gotten them to the Crucible, but I will get them.
I had a way to recognize me from FetLife.
Oh, yeah. I remember that one too.
So the ending of that story with the aunt is she has never said anything. She thinks it's funny and all is right. Luckily, when we bonded over reading, it was reading smut. So we're not that far apart.
However, you also need to tell the story of when it didn't end.
Well, yeah, I was applying for a job and it was during COVID. So the interview was a Zoom meeting and my Zoom name was set up as Princess Rara Pink King Podcast.
Right.
And I forgot to change it before I got onto Zoom. And they saw it. I didn't know they saw it until I heard back from the agency that I had been working with that said not only did I not get the job, but the agency got in trouble because they didn't think that they were vetting their people, and the agency ghosted me, which is so unprofessional. They could have just told me they wouldn't work with me anymore.
Another reason somebody might stay private, and I forget about this all the time because this isn't me, but neurodivergence and accessibility issues. Maybe overstimulation at events, it is just too much.
Hence my fucking migraine.
Right?
I think that's one of the reasons I drop so hard when I'm done with risque every day. And it takes me 24 to 48 hours now to come back from that.
You might want to try those
Loops,
yeah.
I don't feel like I can because I have to concentrate on the person who's on my table.
Gotcha.
I don't want to lose any connection or focus on that person because I don't feel like that's right for me to do. So I've never tried it.
But maybe you've got social anxiety. And so going where there's a large group is just too much. Rejection sensitivity, executive dysfunction might also be reasons.
Boy, I have all of these.
There's just the reality of maybe you've got limited transportation or physical disabilities. We used to have a kinkster who would show up at my munch who was blind. Mm-hmm. And I was always fascinated by that. Like being able to go, and yes, he was able to do it at a munch, but I worried about him at a dungeon, though we never sat down and talked about whether or not he actually went to dungeons.
There was a person with a cane the other day, not a cane like physically walking cane, the cane like the blind people use.
Yeah.
At the dungeon the other day, and I was like, that's going to be interesting.
Right? If you're somebody who, let's say, is deaf.
We've had that at a couple munches too.
We don't, the light is not enough that you can't necessarily read lips, and there might not be anybody there who can translate into sign language for you.
Well, okay, so on that note, I have had several experiences with deaf and hard of hearing people on my table. One time for Fet Ball, there was an entire group of deaf, hard of hearing people with cochlears that came to Fet, and they wanted to try it. And so I, with the help of an ASL translator, they had a person in their group with them, which I thought was super smart. I explained what the situation was with the electricity, and we sort of negotiated how to do it while they could keep the cochlear. They actually, so I don't know if anybody of you guys, if you know how cochlear works, it doesn't cure deafness. It makes, I don't know exactly, but they can take it off. It's removable. So when we say, is there a battery operated life-saving medical device, cochlear doesn't actually count with that. If it gets fucked up, it's expensive, but it's not like a pacemaker. It won't kill you if it stops working. So they took it off, and we did the electricity from like the waist down. We didn't go above the waist. We didn't do arms. We certainly didn't do head, any of that. And it was really, really cool. And from that point on, I have worked with deaf and hard of hearing people on the table at Crucible, and they always have somebody with them that can help and translate. So if I'm telling them what the next implement is, I show them, I tap them, I show them what the implement is, and the person who is with them can translate what I'm saying to, this is what this is going to feel like.
Yeah, I haven't had that experience as much. I mean, I have had people with physical limitations that have affected how I've been able to do impact on them, but not nearly as much, right? People might remain private because there's no actual local community or events. Or even if there are, as I said, sometimes it's those community leaders who are unsafe and toxic, and you don't want to be there. Maybe it's just personal preference. You just enjoy your own space and your dynamic, and you're not drawn to the energy that a dungeon atmosphere provides. Maybe you just want kink to remain an intimate or sacred connection with just that one person. It might be that you are trying to navigate being kinky in a very conservative environment, or you've got some cultural stigma or religious conflict that make it you don't necessarily want to kink in large environments.
I went to school in tiny town Cornfield, Ohio. So yeah.
So it's important to remember that privacy is a boundary, not a lack of dedication to kink. So as I've said, one of the things that has really kind of changed my mind is I redefined what community means. That community isn't just your physical preference at a location. That virtual and emotional engagement can matter just as much, if not more, right? How intimate of a conversation can I have with somebody in the middle of Crucible when the music is blaring? But I can have an intimate conversation with somebody through DMs in a Discord chat. So some ways that private kinksters are showing up and being a part of community and taking advantage and all of the benefits of community is, I don't know, they listen to podcasts.
Hey.
Right? They're joining Discord servers
like
or
ours.
Forums or having private chats. They are learning through books or video on demand and self-reflection. I mean, I know I have been selling from our Etsy shop, Kink Boutique. You can go there and
nice segue. I love it.
Right? Where we sell almost all of our classes that we've done as video on demand classes. And there's workbooks and other things that you can buy to help you in your journey to learn and grow. Or maybe you're following educators on TikTok or Instagram or Threads and participating through chat, comments, likes, and all that. Maybe you're submitting questions anonymously on the social media or to podcasts. All of these are just quiet, simple ways that you are still, I don't want to keep using the word like valid, but it is showing your effort to learn and grow and be ethical and all the things that I would want from somebody in kink. For me to call somebody a valid kinkster, right, is, are you trying to be the best that you can be? Are you trying to learn? Are you trying to grow? Are you trying to be ethical? That's what I'm looking for. So I kind of want to unpack this quiet gatekeeping that I was doing and others I know were doing, right? And not use terms like real scene or serious kinkster. Not judging somebody who isn't attending events or parties. So I really encourage you all to broaden your definition of what community is, because that will really make a difference. So another thing that I look for when I now am judging somebody, judging's not the right word, when I am viewing somebody as valid, is intentionality. Are they being intentional with their kink versus being performative? Because I have seen, and it's happened, and I have a scar to prove that it can happen. Sometimes it's not about the partnership with your, the connection with your partner. It's about the performance. And just because you're not performing for a crowd doesn't mean you're not doing deep and rich kink. At-home kink can include things like consistent rituals and check-ins and protocols that you may be doing a little bit of it at the dungeon, but really not to the extent that you're doing it at home. Even at-home kink should include your detailed negotiation, and if you need it, aftercare plans. And in fact, it has been my experience, and correct me if I'm wrong, people, the scenes that you're doing at home with your partners probably do require more aftercare than what we're doing in the dungeon, where it's not, because of the noise, because of the crowds, are not getting as emotionally deep. Doesn't mean it doesn't happen. It's just not as often as when you are at home, and you're usually with a long-term partner, somebody that you are maybe you're in love with them. Maybe you're just emotionally connected. You have an entire life together, and therefore you need that aftercare more than the scene that I do with a friend at the dungeon on Impact, where we've invited other people to talk to us and laugh with us and partake in the scene. Ways you can bring more depth to your private play is make time for scene planning and then debriefing afterwards. So like, it's not just like, hey, let's go do an Impact scene. Sit down and really plan it out and talk about it. What is our goal here? What do we want to accomplish with this? And then when you're done, how was it? Did we accomplish what we wanted to do? What did you like? What did you not like? And all of that. Use different tools like mood lighting or music in Dara's case. Or for those who, I don't know what the proper terminology is, but using scents, different scents to kind of set the tone.
Oh, I think that's olfactory. So
yeah,
I'm not sure what that would be.
That word. You can create household rituals like collars or journaling or kneeling or checklists. And your at-home DS can be very, very powerful. You might include rituals like morning check-ins or nightly gratitude lists. Sensation play with household items, pervertibles, right? You're in the kitchen cooking dinner, and your partner comes up behind you and grabs a wooden spoon and uses it on you. Always fun.
Or in my case, a cutting board.
Yep. Building emotional safety without needing anybody else to witness it because it's just between the two of you. Some things, if you are a private kinkster and you kind of want to increase your connections, find an online accountability buddy. Join a Discord server. I mean, almost every Discord server I'm in has specific channels for submissives, for dominants, for sadists and masochists, so that you can talk to other people in your shoes, so you can get ideas, you can get advice. Consider doing a writing about your dynamic to reflect and engage. So ultimately, your kink is 100% valid, even if no one else ever fucking sees it. Remind yourself, here's some affirmations you can say to yourself. You don't need an audience to be a kinkster. I do because I'm an exhibitionist. But if you're not an exhibitionist, you don't need it.
Or want it.
Okay? Your kink doesn't need to be public to be ethical, powerful, or real. And if you're putting in the intention, the care, and the consent, then you're fucking doing it right. And that's all that matters. Don't worry, are you missing something? If you think you're missing something, then join these online communities. Some of them, like our podcast Discord server, we have virtual munches. So if you feel like you're missing that munch experience, we have it. Even ones that may not have official munch nights, they have voice chats and they'll have set times. Or even if they don't have set times for voice get together, somebody will pop in and go, hey, I'm going into the voice chat. Does anyone want to pop in there and talk to me? And with Discord, not only can you do the voice chat, you can turn the camera on. And it's just like being at a munch. If you're worried about doing more, there are things you can do that don't necessarily require you to go to the dungeon. Join Discord servers, listen to podcasts, read a book, take an online class. I mean, COVID sucked, but one of the silver linings was how much more online stuff there is. I don't remember there being online virtual classes prior to COVID. Now you can get them. You've got Pink Kink Institute has virtual online classes. Wicked Grounds has online classes. Pragmatically Kinky has online classes. There's a new one that I've applied to teach for is Praxium, offers online classes. There are groups on FetLife to join that are specifically for online classes. That's it. That's all they post about in that chat group is online classes. I encourage you to keep learning and stay open, to remind yourself that your dynamic is valid if it's working for you. You are no less committed or skilled because you are prioritizing privacy over public play. And plenty of public kinksters started off privately.
Me.
And may return to it temporarily or permanently, depending upon life. I know kinksters who were very public. And then they had kids. And nothing blocks kink more than those damn kids. So now they can't go out because their kids are too young. And they're looking forward to the day the kids are old enough they can go back out. But that's not what's happening right now. So for kind of my final reflection here is I want to kind of reiterate that your own growth and shift in perspective. I can't speak.
Hey, at least it's not as bad as Horkle.
No, well, no. I want you to acknowledge the importance of being honest about maybe any past biases you have. Like I've been honest here with you about the fact that I did have this bias and that I've changed. And commit to learning more about being inclusive, because I have that's one of my goals is to just kind of, as I always say, I'm going to learn from my mistakes and make new ones, but at least I'll try to learn and not repeat my mistakes. And being more inclusive and accepting of others. If you are somebody who feels you've been judged for being just private, then share this episode with them and you tell them that you go listen to Pink Kink and they're going to tell you that I am fucking 100% valid.
Thanks for hanging out with us today. If you enjoyed what you heard, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a minute of our fun and educational content. New episodes drop every Friday.
If you love what we do and want to help us keep creating, support us on Patreon at patreon.com/pinkkinkpodcast. You can also support our affiliates to benefit small businesses and us at the same time.
No extra cash? No problem. You can still help by spreading the word about your favorite kinky podcast. Share us with your friends, and don't forget to rate and review us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen. Those 5-star reviews mean the world to us, and those 5-star reviews go a long way in boosting our podcast through the algorithm and reaching more listeners.
Sign up for our Pink Kink Institute classes. Shop at our Etsy shop, Pink Kink Boutique. Stay connected with us on social media. You'll find all the links on our link tree posted in the show notes.
Your support means the world to us. So until next time, stay pink
and level up your kink knowledge.